children. Once again, I welcome you all for this online class. And today we are continuing with our lesson 2 of history. And the title of our lesson is The Post-Mauryan India, Part 2. So, in the last class, in the Part 1, we studied about the breakage, the pieces of Mauryan Empire, how the Mauryan Empire was broken into several pieces, and what are the dynasties that captured the different directions, north, south, east portions of the Mauryan Empire. Okay, so today we are going to focus upon the northwestern part of India. So, what are the dynasties? What are the powers that captured the northern part of, more specifically, northwestern part of India, the Mauryan Empire? Okay, so there were four important powers that captured the northern part of India. They were IndoGreeks, Indo-Parthians, Sakas, and Kushnas. So they were these powers, one after the other, they conquered the northern part of India. Okay, first after Indo-Greeks, they were followed by the Indo-Parthians. After Indo-Parthians, they were captured by the Sakas, and finally Kushnas took control of the northern part of the Mauryan Empire. Okay, uh, so when Alexander the Great captured India, the northwestern part of India and the Punjab region, he divided the territories into several parts. He divided the captured places into several territories, and he made some leaders, some leadership to control those territories. Okay, he made some provincial governors, head of those divided territories. Okay, so among these divided territories of Alexander the Great, two of them were the Bactrians and the Parthians. Okay, Bactrians and the Parthians. So these two territories, these two governors, the um, the governors of these two territories, they fighted against the Alexandrian empire. They fighted against the empire, and they uh, divided their territories, and they formed their territories into a separate kingdom. Okay, they declared, who are they? Indo-Greeks. The Indo-Greeks and the Indo-Parthians, they fighted against the Alexandrian territories, and they declared themselves as separate country, separate kingdom. Okay, so after dividing and becoming an individual kingdom, they started to capture the northwestern borders of India. They started to capture the northwestern borders of India, and gradually they intermarried and intermixed with the local Indian people. So after intermarried, after getting into our border, northwestern border, and marrying the local people, they became Indo-Greek and Indo-Parthians. Actually, previously they were only Greeks and the Parthians. When they mixed with the Indian people, they became Indo-Greeks and Indo-Parthians. Okay, so first let us study about the Indo-Greeks. So the founder of the Indo-Greek dynasty was Demetrius I. He was the son of Greco-Bactrian ruler Euthydemus. Okay, so he introduced coins, several coins. Okay, So the most important famous king of the Indo-Greek dynasty was Menander. He was the most famous king of the Indo-Greek rulers. Okay, so he conquered the large part of northwestern India. So the major part of northwestern India was under the control of Menander. Okay, and when the archaeological survey happened in the Kabul Valley and Indus River, which is in the western part of Uttar Pradesh, the archaeologists they discovered several coins made by this king Menander they found. Okay, and there is a famous Buddhist book called Milinda Panha. Milinda Panha is a famous Buddhist literature book which gives information about this a king called Milinda, okay, who had relation with the Buddhist scholar Nagasena. Okay, and this Milinda is actually Menander. Okay, so Menander he became a Buddhist and he promoted Buddhism into India. Okay, so after Indo-Greek, they were defeated by the Indo-Parthians. Okay, so the Indo-Parthians, uh, so their dynasty is also called as Gondopharid dynasty, and the founder of the Gondopharid dynasty was Gondophares. Okay, and their territory, uh, the Gondopharid dynasty, the Indo-Parthian territories were Kabul and Gandhara. Okay, so the Gondophares king he was associated with Saint Paul, one of the 12 disciples of Jesus. So one of the disciples of Jesus, Saint Thomas, he came to India and he contacted Gondophares and he spread Christianity in India. And Gondophares he accepted Christian tradition and he developed Christianity in India. Okay, now we are going to study about the contributions of Indo-Greeks. What they did, what are the things they left back, what are their uh, achievements in India. Okay, first one is coinage. So the Indo-Greek rulers they introduced a die system and produced proper shaped coins having inscriptions and symbols, figures on them. So Indian people learned the system of die and shaping the coins, inscriptions on the coins, symbols and figures on the coins. All these system were introduced by the Indo-Greeks to the Indians. And sculpture means what? Carving the idols. Okay, so the Gandhara school of Indian art is heavily indebted to Greek influences. So the school of Indian art named Gandhara, they learnt many great things from the Greek. Okay, the Greeks were good cave builders. So the Greek people they were very much skilled in sculpture works. So the Mahayana Buddhist people learned the art of carving out the caves and they become skilled in rock cut architecture. So the Buddhist people they learned the sculpture architecture from the Greeks and they made some rock cut architectures in India. Okay, the next so after Indo-Parthians they were defeated by Sakas. So Sakas were the nomadic people. Nomadic people means these people were uh, they move from one place to another place. Actually, these people were Turkish nomads, and they came in huge number and spread all over north and western part of India. Okay, and these people were Iranians. Oh, sorry, not Turkish people. They were Iranians. The Sakas were Iranians, okay, and in Sanskrit they were called Sakas. So the founder of the Saka dynasty was Maos or Mogain, and uh, he ruled over the Gandhara region, and the capital of the Gandhara region was Sirkap, and his name was mentioned in the Mora inscription, and his coin bear the images of Buddha and Lord Shiva. And the most famous king of the Saka dynasty was Rudraman, and his Junant and Girnar inscription was the first inscription which is inscribed on the Sanskrit language. And in India, the Sakas were assimilated into Indian society. They mingled with Indian society and they started to adopt all the Indian habits. Okay, they named their children with Indian name, and also they followed Indian religious beliefs. So after Sakas, the Kushnas came into existence. So who were these Kushnas? They were the Ichi tribes who belonged to the northwestern part of China, remote part of China. Remote means place which does not have proper facility, village area. Okay, so during the first century, these Ichi tribe they had five major divisions. There were five important groups, and among these five groups, the Kushnas were the higher important number one group. They were the prominent group, important group. Okay, so what happened during the first century? The Ichi tribe they attacked the Kushnas and they defeated them and they uh, left their nomadic habit, that is moving from one place to another place. They defeated the Kushnas and they settled in the Bactrian and Parthian land, which is next to the northwestern border of India. So the Kushnas gradually established their kingdom in northern part of India. Okay, so more specifically, they concentrated to capture Punjab, Rajputana, and Kathiawar. And the Kushnas were Buddhists. Takshila and Mathura continued to be a great centers of Buddhist learning, attracting students from China and West Asia. So there are two important centers of Buddhist learning. So these learning centers, Takshashila and Mathura, they attracted students from China and other western parts of Asia. So after the some of the important Kushna kings we are going to study now. Kanishka, okay. Kanishka is the greatest of all the Kushna emperors. So he came to the throne. He started to have power during 78 AD, and the capital of the Kushna dynasty was Kabul, which is in Pakistan today. And later he shifted his later the capital city was shifted from Kabul to Peshawar, which is also in Pakistan today. So the next king was Karpises I, and he was the first famous military and political leader of the Kushanas. So the first famous military political leader, both military and political leader of the Kushanas was Karpises I. So he defeated the IndoGreeks and Indo-Parthian rulers and established himself as the supreme ruler of the Bactria. And he extended his empire in Kabul, Gandhara, and up to Indus. He extended his territory. After Karpises I, Karpises II came into the throne, and he maintained a friendly relationship with the emperors of China, Rome, and he encouraged trade and commerce with the foreign countries. And some of his coins having the image of Lord Shiva are inscribed in a Kharosthi language. Okay, so now we are going to study about the conquest of Kanishka. So Kanishka conquered and he annexed major part of Kashmir, which is in the northern region of India. And he waged a successful war against Magadha, which is situated in Odisha today. And he also waged war against the rulers of Parthia to maintain safety and integrity in his vast empire on the western and southwest border. So, after conquering Kashmir, Gandhara, he turned towards China and he defeated the Chinese general Pan Chiang and he safeguarded the northern borders of India. So, all the borders of his territory, he wanted to save them. So, whatever the border countries next to his territory, he attacked them, defeated them, and took control of them. And his empire extended from Kashmir in the north down to Benares and the Vindhya mountains in the south, which included Kashgar, Yarkand, touching the borders of Persia and Parthia. Now let us study about the religious policies of Kanishka. Kanishka was an ardent Buddhist. He was a very much uh, faithful Buddhist follower. His empire was Buddhist empire. He adopted Buddhism under the influence of Ashwagosha, who was a from Pataliputra. Though he was a great warrior and builder, he was equally a champion of Mahanayanism, that is, following the principles of Mahayana uh, sect in Buddhism. And Kanishka made Buddhism as the his state religion, and he built many Buddhist temples and monasteries. Monasteries are the uh, hostels for the monks in places of Madura, Taxila, and many other parts of his kingdom. He also sent many Buddhist missionaries to the neighboring countries such as Tibet, China, and many countries of the Central Asia for propagating the Buddhist uh, religion. He also organized the fourth Buddhist council at a place called Kundalavana, which is near Srinagar, to sort out the differences between the various schools of the Buddhist religion. And it was the only council that Buddhism was split into Hinduism and Mahayanism. So after this council only, the Buddhism was divided into two major sects. Okay, now let's study about the art and architecture of the Kanishka dynasty. So Kanishka was not only a great warrior and a great scholar, he was also great patron of art and architecture. And his court was decorated with number of Buddhist saints and scholars like Ashwagosha, Vasumitra and Nagarjuna. So these are the brilliant and great scholars who have highly skilled knowledge and wisdom. And he founded the town of Kanishkapura in Kashmir and he furnished the capital of Purushapura with magnificent public buildings. And the Gandhara school of art flourished. It was developed, progressed during the time of Kanishka. And the most favorite subject of the Gandhara art school was carving the sculpture of Buddha. Buddhist learning and culture was taken to China and Mongolia from the learning center called Takshashila. And the great Asiatic culture mingled with Indian Buddhist culture during the Kushna time. So during the Kushna time, the Buddhist culture was mingled with the Asiatic culture. And Kanishka's successors were very weak and incompetent. They could not able to um, sustain the attack from the nearby enemies. So the Kushna empire very rapidly disintegrated into number of small pieces. Okay, finally, at the same time, the contemporary time, what are the other important regions, rulers that ruled parts of India? So when the Kushna Empire correspond with the last days of Roman Republic, Julius Caesar was alive. So during this time, Julius Caesar and Augustus Caesar, okay, the famous kings of Europe, okay, so they were alive. They were alive during this time. Okay, children, with this, our lesson 2 of history finished. Okay, so go through the lessons. We'll meet in the next class. See you. Bye.